Of course, observing and experimenting on the world around us is common practice now. But it was a controversial idea when Robert Boyle was born in Ireland in 1627, the 14th child of the very wealthy 1st Earl of Cork. Ideas based on reasoning were more likely to be accepted than ideas tested in experiments. Boyle disagreed with this, and his vast inherited wealth allowed him to spend his life studying science and promoting the experimental method. In one of his most famous experiments, a J-shaped tube was built by his assistant, Robert Hooke, with mercury poured into one end. At the other end of the tube, a pocket of air was contained. As mercury filled the tube, it exerted increased pressure on the air pocket, and this reduced its volume. All else remaining equal, if you squash a certain amount of gas into half its previous volume, you will double the pressure that gas exerts on its container. Boyle wasn't the first to test these ideas, but he was the first to publish his findings, now known as Boyle's Law. You can feel the effect of Boyle's Law whenever you squeeze a bike tyre or squash a balloon. This makes sense when we consider that gases are entirely made up of many smaller particles, atoms or molecules, constantly whizzing around. By forcing the same amount of gas into a smaller volume, you can feel a higher concentration of particles bumping against or exerting pressure on the surface of the container. How fast or slow these particles move, meanwhile, depends on their temperature. In fact, that's essentially how temperature is defined. Boyle's law assumes that the amount of gas and the temperature of that gas are kept constant. It would be more than 100 years before the next gas law was defined, one that considers the relationship between gas volume and temperature.